I'm going to make this very personal for you guys. So we've got a small group and you can ask me questions as we go along, but I want to cover information that I think is going to be helpful for you. So really, if we look at what we're going to talk about today, it's about improving memory, optimizing brain nutrition, optimizing overall health, uncovering the causes of brain health problems, preventing decline of your brain, improving focus and concentration, and improving mental health disorders such as depression, anxiety, ADHD, mood swings, and also memory decline. So all of these things are somewhat related. They're affected by a lot of the same things. And we're going to talk about overall health also and how that has a part to play in your memory and in your health overall, of course. Okay. Yeah, sure. There you go. Danny, this stopped working. A little technical difficulties. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. You've got a biography there of myself and my associate, Dr. Rockenow. I've been in practice for over 40 years. I've been the clinical director of a facility called Advanced Wellness and Injury Center. I'm a certified wellness instructor, which really means I help people be healthier. I also have a diplomate in occupational health, and so I've been a consultant to many corporations in the area on how to be more healthy at work and how to prevent injuries at work also. I also have been certified in acupuncture. It's part of my practice too. And nutrition and wellness counseling is what I do regularly. And I talk about all different topics. You can read that a little bit later. And this is something that I believe is really important for the public because it's not what they get traditionally when they go to the doctor. It's really almost in addition to that, even though you've been going to wonderful doctors, I'm sure, but this is some things that they don't really go into more about how to provide alternatives to medication and surgery, not just make that the only way to treat something. There are people on Zoom. Hello, everybody who's there on Zoom. I just wanted to say hello and make myself available. If you have some questions, you can write them down in chat and I'll try to answer them while I'm here. And if not, if you want more information, if you'd like to contact my office to schedule a complimentary Restore Your Health phone consultation, please call 203-798-WELL. And I'll also leave some packets of information for you here at the library that you can pick up so that you feel like you're part of this talk. Hello. Okay. So you've heard enough about me. I'm going to go on. And I'm going to read something that's called our mission statement. So I've been the director of this facility called the Advanced Wellness and Injury Center. And over 25 years ago, we came up with this mission statement and we haven't had to change any of it. So I always read it to anybody that comes here to one of my presentations. And then I'm going to ask you something about it. So we're a unique multidisciplinary team of professionals dedicated to providing high quality, effective treatment in a caring atmosphere to reduce pain and suffering. Our goal is to educate our patients, their families, and our community on how to sustain a lifetime of optimal health and wellness while limiting the need for drugs and surgery. So I always ask people in the audience, what in this is important to you? What words, few words in there, and anybody who gives me an answer wins a prize. So there's no wrong answers. What's It's a good thing. Advertising. To just ask for that and expect that. Yeah, I had a nurse in one of my talks a few days ago, actually, and she said, she worked in a doctor's office, multiple doctors there. And if people didn't get a prescription at the end of their visit, they were upset. They were felt like the visit was worthless. So you're not going to get a drug at my office if you come to see me, but you're going to get a lot of information about how to stay well and maybe decrease your need for medication. That's really what I'm an expert at. Hi, I'm Dr. Markowitz. If you don't mind filling out that stress survey, and you can give it to me before. Yeah, you can give it to me while I'm talking, no problem. So I promised you a prize. I'm going to give you something. Okay. So this is for you. This is a little card that measures your stress level by temperature. And so you can take it to parties and test everybody there, see who's really stressed out. So just touch it for about 15 seconds, and the color that it turns tells you how stressed or not stressed. Evaluate? Yeah, about 15 seconds. So holding it for that. Yes, it is. Yes. Yeah. Well, black is high. Black is the highest. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. And I'm sorry, again, your name?
I'm Phil.
Okay, Phil, anything in this mission statement that really, really, rings a bell with you, or something that you find important and glad I have it in my mission statement? And if you don't have
I
anything.
like the last line.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about that. That's going to be part of the theme today, and giving you alternatives to medication and surgery. And
Is this all about mental health and physical health?
yes, absolutely. And that's the focus. But you'll hear also that it's related to your whole body, quite frankly, because your body is connected to your brain, and it's a two-way street between your brain communicating with your body and your body communicating with your brain. So helping your health overall improves brain function, and your brain is paying attention to what you're doing to yourself. Right. Okay.
I mean, I exercise my body,
Yes.
but I'm not sure if I'm exercising.
Okay. Well, there's some specifics about, that you can do to exercise your brain, but exercise in general is good for your brain. So it helps that too. Okay. Everybody. Oh, okay. I'm going to get to that in a little while. And it's Marianne. Marianne, I'm going to get to that. We're going to have a little section on actually testing stress level. And I'll explain it a little bit more. If you have more questions, I will stay a little bit at the end if we have time, or you can contact my office and I'd be glad to get on the phone with you and talk to you about it too. Okay. All right. So everybody filled out one of these stress surveys. How many people checked off at least one thing on that survey? Okay. How many people checked off two? Okay. Two. I think you had two. Okay, I'm not going to go beyond that. I don't want to embarrass anybody, but I've had people who check off everything and then they write other. And so unfortunately, that's a little bit of a sign of our health in general, that people have so many symptoms. And even though they've been going to, their doctor and really having maybe some suggestions about how to help these things, those symptoms really haven't gone away entirely. They haven't been fixed. And we're going to talk about why symptoms are still there and what they really mean. So think about your car. Would you check your car if the engine light goes on? Symptoms are a warning that something's wrong. It's your body trying to talk to you, tell you something, whether it's about mental health or your body's what it's feeling. These are symptoms, and there's no such thing as a normal symptom. Again, our bodies are so amazing. They're like the engine light on a car or the other kind of dashboard warnings. It's telling you something's wrong, and you should really check it out ideally. Your body deserves even the same attention that you give your car, or better, of course. So I'm going to ask you this question. Would you rather be wealthy or just not poor?
Well,
Wealthy. Wealthy? Yeah, okay. Would you rather be healthy or just not sick? Yeah, so there's a big difference between healthy and not sick. Lots of people are walking around and pretty happy, at least outwardly, if they're not sick. And then all of a sudden, something that they really weren't aware of gets them. I'll give you some pretty serious examples. Heart attacks. Heart attacks, 40% of the time, the first sign of a heart attack is a heart attack. So you can be walking around with all the risk factors for a heart attack and not know it until it happens. Can anybody think of something else that might be a silent problem that you don't even pay attention to? until it gives you some warning. What? Well, a headache can occur, but when you have the headache, you pretty much know it, yes. But headaches are an interesting symptom. And I ask people also, if you have headaches, anybody here gets headaches commonly? What do you do when you get a headache? Okay, you just wait. Okay, that's a good approach also, and it does go away. Okay. Anybody else who gets headaches or pain somewhere and they do take something? No? No? Okay. Some people, quite a number of people do. The pain medications are pretty popular as far as usage is concerned. And what I try to make people do is have a cautious respect for them. Because even something like Advil or Aleve that's over the counter has tremendous side effects. It really increases your risk for lots of problems, gastrointestinal problems with Advil, especially kidney problems long-term also with Advil. If you take 1,000 Advil in your lifetime, you have 8 times the chance of having kidney failure at the end of your life, towards the end of your life. So I want you to have a healthy respect for all medications. If they're necessary, they're necessary. I don't take people off of medications. I try to get them to the point where they need it less. We can limit their need for it. I don't say eliminate it entirely. And for certain conditions, there really is no medication that really helps sometimes. So we have great alternatives to that. Oh, that's a good one, because we have cancer cells in all of us, and it's a really function of our immune system of whether they start to multiply and spread, or whether they stay under control. So that's a very good one. You can really have, it takes about 10 years for cancer to grow enough to be shown on a mammogram, for instance. So whatever woman especially is tested for cancer, has a mammography, it really, even if it doesn't show anything, that's why they have you come back and get it routinely, because it winds up showing up after about 10 years of growth. And you can do things to slow down that growth or prevent that growth. That's what I'm going to talk about, is the natural solutions to these problems, and not waiting for yourself to get sick before you do anything. Same thing with mental health decline. Waiting for it to just continue to decline is not the right approach. It's never, ever too early to do something about it. So we'll talk about that. So if I could show you today how to improve your memory, feel better, be healthier, prevent and possibly reverse memory decline by doing something natural and affordable, would you do it? Raise your hand if you would. Okay, is it something you do? Just keep your mind open. I want it to make sense to you. I want at the end of this talk, you say, boy, these are some things I didn't know, and they make sense to me. Okay, it's all about you. Learning how to control your health naturally. Most people also think they have very little control over their health, but I'm going to tell you quite differently. You have a tremendous amount of control over your health if you do the right things, and you have tremendous control over your health if you do the wrong things also. Things start to cause problems, or they can prevent problems. Okay. So this presentation is for you if you're feeling overwhelmed and exhausted. Some people are. Any of you feeling that way, overwhelmed about health problems and feeling tired about it? Yes? No? No. Okay. How about if you're not feeling as good as you know you should? Would you say that's the case? Anybody? Sometimes. Okay, that's an honest answer. How about you've got to do some things differently, but you don't really know how. So any of you guilty of that? Yeah. So I think that's part of the reason you're probably here, maybe to know how to do things rather than just not do anything. So there's a term called functional medicine. Has anybody ever heard that before? No. So it's a specialized type of practice where what we do is functional medicine approach is to identify and address the cause of a problem, not just find out what you have, but why. It's a big factor. So think about that. Why? Why is your memory going? Why are you not feeling as good as you should? Why are you having the symptoms that you have? Instead of just covering it up with a medication or telling you there's nothing we can do, we want to know why you have it and what can be done about it as naturally as possible. The body can heal and defend itself against all types of problems if the cause is removed, what I just said, not just covered up, and the treatment is personalized. Everybody's a little bit different. So you could have the same symptom, but a real different cause for it. And so that's very common. So I'm suggesting that you add a functional medicine specialist to your healthcare team so that you can discover why, not what, and remove the causes of the problems, the things maybe that you checked off on that health survey. Okay. Why am I doing this? Okay. Because it's really important. Brain health is important to 93% of the population. Very few people know how to maintain or improve brain health. Every 3 seconds, a new dementia case is diagnosed since I began this talk. The informational talk is personal to me. My mother died with dementia, and that is why it's my passion to spread this message, especially. Every person in the world is at risk. Our brain is highly delicate and vulnerable to insults of the modern world. We're never too young or too old to make brain healthy choices. Our brain health is a choice we make with every bite we take and with our lifestyle. So what you do is really the primary reason your brain health stays good lifetime or whether it starts to decline. We have evidence of that in lots of other countries besides the United States. I don't know if you ever heard of the blue zones. Okay, so you've read something about it or heard about it. So this is where people live to be, more people live to be 100 in those countries than anywhere else in the world. There's 5 zones in the world. And they were studied. They were studied carefully. Why? Why is it happening? Why are they so healthy? And there were a few common threads. Their lifestyle was a big part of it. Lifestyle including their diet, how active they were, how much they socialized with other people. All those things tremendously affect the length of time that you stay healthy. If you don't do those things well, your lifetime is shorter and also has more problems. So those are part of what I'm talking about today. It's not everything, because there are other things that you can do, but we know for sure that lifestyle plays a tremendous has tremendous impact on your health overall. Our brains make it possible to do everything we love in this world, and for that reason, I hope you agree it's worth protecting. Okay, what is dementia? Okay, we're going to talk about that a little bit. So its symptoms are memory loss, personality changes, impaired reasoning, difficulty performing familiar tasks, problems with words and language, problems with thinking, with abstract thinking, feeling less motivated about things in general, mind your way a little bit. Yeah. Okay, and the brain decline begins decades before you have symptoms. So it's happening silently in some people. Some people maybe you're here because you're starting to feel some of these things and wondering if it's serious, what you should do about it. But it happens really, really way before you start to feel the symptoms. We go along a lot of our life feeling like our brain is going to last forever, and then all of a sudden things start happening. And so the sooner that you do something about it, the better, and it's never too late. Yeah. No. It's not a disease of aging. It's really, it's not to say that our memory stays exactly the same as it was, but that's not what causes the disease, because some people who are 100 really have wonderfully sharp minds. Why? It's because it's not a disease of aging. It's a disease of insult to our body throughout our lives. So talk about what does that. So don't blame it on age. Don't blame it on genetics. And there's always time to do something about it. I'm not saying we're going to reverse it entirely at any age, but you can slow down the progress of it and improve it to some degree at any age. Okay. How do you know if your memory is a problem that you should worry about or not? Your memory if it's never been good and now it's getting worse, you frequently lose your phone or your keys. You often wonder why you came into a room. You read a book or an article and don't remember much of it. You forget the function of commonly used tools or objects. So if you forget what a key is for or what a telephone is for, that's serious. Okay, that's more serious. Okay? So if you're just forgetting a name every now and then, that happens to everybody, even when they're younger. So I would say not to worry about something that's like that too seriously, but if you want to make your memory as good as possible, I have suggestions for you. Early intervention is the key. Don't wait until it's worse. It doesn't make any sense. It's like driving around with the engine light on until your engine seizes up. It doesn't make sense. Okay. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So there was a pretty smart guy around a couple of 100 years ago. His name was Ben Franklin. The earlier we begin prevention, the better the outcome. That's my statement. So the earlier, the better. State of America's health. Do you think we're a pretty healthy population? Okay. I want to really, I mean, I think it's a shocking thing that I'm going to read to you next about the state of our health in this country. Do we spend less money or more money than any other country in the world on our health? Or a lot more, 3 times as much as any other country. And our health is not as good as many, 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 many other countries. We're in the United States, the life expectancy is 41st in the world. There's 40 other countries that are spending much less money than us, have probably less hospitals, less very, very well-trained doctors, less pharmaceuticals, and they really are living longer than we are. So the answers are not hospitals, doctors, medications. It's all about what I'm going to tell you today. How do you stay healthy? Alzheimer's is the 6th leading cause of death in the world and is increasing. We're living a shorter lifetime for the first time in 20 years. So we're getting worse, not better. Type 2 diabetes increased by 30% in the last 10 years. Did people become different in the last 10 years? Or did what we do to ourselves become different? What do you think? What we do. You know, people haven't changed that much in the last 10 years. We all change a little bit, but not enough to really, really dramatically cause type 2 diabetes to increase by 30%. I'll give you some of the reasons that that's happening and how much it's related to brain health also. Increasing number of sleep disorders. The USA has the highest percentage of obesity and overweight people in the world. And we're so good at being obese and overweight, we spread it to other countries. So, you know, other countries that never had Taco Bell and McDonald's are having it now because we started it. And so when people come here from other countries and they were ideal weight, all of a sudden they weigh more than they did all their lives. So we're actually hurting health tremendously by our lifestyle. Our healthcare is the most expensive in the world. Half the population is either pre-diabetic or diabetic. Depression is up 400% since 1987. 60% of the population has either high blood pressure or pre-hypertension. 2/3 are overweight and obese. And 70%, 75% of our healthcare dollars are spent on chronic, preventable diseases. Preventable, that's a big word, key word. Why? All of these problems are not separate problems, but rather different expressions of the same unhealthy lifestyle. So if you fix the cause, you fix lots of things. You don't just fix one particular thing, you fix lots of things. Reasons for our poor state of health. We don't treat the causes of disease. I call our system disease care, not health care. So you go to the doctor when you're hurting or when you're not feeling well. Usually, most people, they don't go to the doctor to really, really feel better and healthier and figure out how to prevent problems. Not enough money is spent on prevention, not enough education about improving health. I mean, I took health education when I was, you know, young in school. You all probably did. Do we use any of it nowadays? What we were really taught about health education, it was all about, you know, diseases like infectious diseases or even sexually transmitted diseases, things that happen, but they don't make you healthier. I mean, in learning that, we should be teaching people a lot of other things. Kids, we should be teaching our kids how to eat well, how important exercise is, how important sleep is, how important good mental attitude is. All of those things are what should be taught in school. Sugar intake is really a big connection between sugar intake and dementia, and diabetes and dementia. A person who's a diabetic or even a pre-diabetic has 4 times the chance of getting dementia as someone who's not. And it doesn't mean that diabetes is an inherited disease, although we say that people think it's genetic. It's really what we do to ourselves. And we've been taking in 300 times as much sugar since 1900. Do you think that has an effect on your health? What do you think? So, you know, it used to be a half a pound a year per person. Now it's 150 pounds a year per person. As far as sugar, things that turn into sugar. We have increased toxins in our food and our environment. We have a lot of nutritional deficiencies. We have poor sleep, lack of exercise, increased chronic stress. So these are the reasons for our poor state of health, including mental health. Yes, there's type 1 and type 2. We're talking about type 2. Yeah, one is genetic. Excuse me. Yes, you're correct. Yeah. And you know what? Dementia and Alzheimer's is being called type 3 diabetes. It's so connected to type 2. There's another, now we're using that term. Dementia is type 3 diabetes. So healthy lifestyle strategies, I'll talk about that. There's something called epigenetics. Epigenetics means that, let's think about this. When you're born, you have anybody here who played poker anytime ever? Okay, so maybe we all know a little bit about poker. So poker is a game where you're dealt some cards. Make believe that's your genes. Okay, you get half from your mother, half from your father, and maybe you had a really good hand. Maybe you had a really good hand, you know, and it would be hard to lose, but somehow, even with a good hand, a lousy poker player can lose. So what I'm trying to tell you is that the way you play your cards, the way you play your genes has the effect on what the outcome is. You can have a lousy hand dealt to you, and a good poker player, somebody who knows about these strategies that I'm talking about to keep you healthier, really, really will win the game. And you have to think about your health and your body like you're playing poker every day. And no matter what cards you're dealt, you can do something good or bad with them. And the genes aren't changed. The expression of the genes change. So the genes we have are the genes we have, but how they express themselves, how they show up in your body and your environment and in your health really has to do with what you do to them, what kind of things you put into your body, what you don't do. All those healthy or unhealthy lifestyles affect your genes. We used to think there was nothing that we could do to affect. Okay. This is something about the new specialty in psychiatry. The Dr. Naidu is the author of a book called Your Brain on Food, and she is a psychiatrist, nutritionist, and chef all rolled into one. And she started the Department of Nutritional Psychiatry at Harvard, and now it's at Stanford University also. Two pretty good schools, I would say. The goal of nutritional psychiatry is to offer the patient the information they need to make healthy food choices for better mental health and limit one's need for medication and surgery. So this is one of the principles that I treat people by. I want to make their brains work better by giving them the right lifestyle and the right habits. And it's amazing how much change that can cause. I'll give you some examples of that. Improving mental health with food. And mental health includes memory decline or memory impairment. Harvard and Stanford universities are studying the effects of insulin resistance, the gut microbiome. Have you heard of that? Have you heard that term before? Your gut and your microbiome. So it means your digestive system. Let's make it simple. So it means your digestive system communicates from here up to here and from here down to here. So what you put into your mouth and goes into your digestive system, your body sends messages to your brain, chemical messages, telling it whether it's good or bad. And it also affects your brain health. So, and one of the, some of the things that are really, really harmful are eating sugar, starch, flour, and how that affects our brain. There was a study in Australia studying depression, found that eating real foods works better than drugs for treating depression. A lot of mood disorders, depression, suicide intention, and violent behavior can be helped with dietary changes. 97% decrease in violent juvenile detention centers, 75% reduction in restraints and suicide when the people who were there were fed real healthy food. I'll talk to you a little bit more about what that is. So, and dementia is being called type 3 diabetes. And this bottom statement is you got to fix your whole body, especially your gut. If you have problems with, how many people have some digestive problems and you wish something was better? Raise your hands. Anybody? Constipation, diarrhea, bloating, acid reflux, anything like that at all? So you may not be having symptoms. That doesn't mean it's ideal either. You can always make it better. But fixing the body helps fix the brain. These are the 7 overall healthy strategies to boost brain health and function, improve memory, and improve your overall health. Okay, strategy number 1. Everybody here know how to relax? Okay, good. So some people are really good at it, some people are not. So you have to understand that that's not the way we were designed. We weren't designed to be under stress all the time. We were designed to have some stress. That's normal in life. Think about this. There were, our ancestors lived in a cave, and they'd run out of the cave to get some food, and then they run back into the cave before a lion or a tiger ate them. And so when they were out of the cave, they were stressed, and they wanted to protect their lives. When they went back in the cave, they were safe. So they had a high stress point and then a relaxation point. And that's the way they lived their lives. And I would say if they didn't get eaten, they did pretty well. But we have chronic stress, and we put it on ourselves, and we don't do enough to balance it out. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. So there's something called diaphragmatic breathing. I gave you a handout. It's called Healthy Resources. Second page, I think. You take a look at it. So that has lots of tips that I give my patients. And one of them is the diaphragmatic breathing at the top. And it's something that everybody should learn how to do. And it doesn't take that much education. It takes a little practice. But you can reset the stress computer that goes off when you're having any kind of a stressful event. It could be mental. It could be something that you eat. It could be something physical also when you're having pain or something like that. It can be stressful. Stressful means it causes your body to change. Sitting like at this level, and then all of a sudden something causes it to change. And that's your body saying that's stressful. I better secrete hormones that really combat stress. I'll also raise my heart rate. I'll raise my blood pressure. And those things, if they go on, start to cause health problems. So really important, relaxation, learning how to do that. And I teach every patient who comes into my office about that. Okay, common symptoms of stress. Most people don't know this. 90% of all doctors' visits are in some way related to stress. And most doctors only really talk about that if you say, I feel sad or I'm not motivated. If you give them mental health symptoms, then your doctor might give you a medication for it. But he's not addressing all the other problems that occur because of stress, like headaches, fatigue, weight gain, mood swings, allergies and sinus problems, sleep problems, digestive problems, neck, shoulder, and back pain, diminished sex drive, decreased cognitive ability, male and female hormonal problems. All of those things are in some way affected by stress. And so in order to get help with all of these, you can do a few things. You can give somebody medication for each one of those things, or you can decrease the harmful effects of stress and teach them some things that do that without medications. Does that make sense to you? Does that sound like a good approach? And the reason it's not done is doctors don't spend the time to really investigate why you're having your symptoms. They just write your prescription for what you're complaining about. That's really what most visits are like. And I love doctors. I think, some of my best friends are doctors, and I think that they got into the profession for the right reasons, but the profession has changed. Now it's become a business to some extent. And so it's run by larger corporations telling doctors how to practice. It's controlled by the insurance companies and the pharmaceutical industry now. So it's just different. And you need a different approach to stay healthy, because what we're doing is not keeping you healthy. I try not to get too nasty about it. But I want my message to be heard. And I've spoken to groups of doctors, groups of pharmacists, and a few of them will come up and say to me, I wish I could practice that way, or I do as much as I can to limit my need for drugs and surgery. And these are people who know what they can or what they should do, but really don't practice that way, unfortunately. I had one doctor who worked with me, and I've had about a half a dozen different medical doctors that have worked with me over the last 25 years of practice. One was interesting. He was an internist, and he graduated from Yale, had wonderful training, medical training. And he said to me, since I've been coming to work here in your facility, he was there for 2 years. It was about after a year, he said to me, I've been prescribing 1/10 of the medication that I used to prescribe for the same problems. People would come to me with digestive problems, and I'd give them a medication. People would come to me with pain, I'd give them a certain medication. Since I've been here and I saw what could be done without medication, I've been prescribing about 1/10 of the medication, because he didn't learn about nutrition and acupuncture and exercise rehabilitation and stress reduction. Those weren't the topics of his training, not his training, not his fault, not his training.
The doctors, financially said that,
Yes,
but
yes. They're in several ways. And I have relatives who work in the back offices of insurance companies and in the back offices of the HMOs that are now owning a lot of the practices. And so the drug companies will send salespeople into the office, buy you lunch, give you tickets for lunch and learn, right? And give you tickets for certain things. And really, really also, there are financial incentives also, especially in the cancer industry. I can't really, address that. I don't think so. But I would say it depends how it's done because they don't want to have legal ramifications for it. Depends how it's done in a way that really they can get away with it. 25 years ago, there were no commercials for medication on television. Yeah. And now it's every other commercial, and especially with certain shows, the new shows especially, it's every commercial. And so people are being brainwashed constantly. The doctors have patients coming in saying, I saw this on TV. The patient are coming in saying, I saw this on TV. Could you try this? I thought it looked good. The patient looked happy and healthy. Can you try this? So it's also a marketing, tremendous marketing effort, and they spend a lot of money on that. So exercise. You said you're an exerciser pretty regularly. It's a great thing that everybody should be doing some form of exercise. Not the same for everybody. It has to be personalized. It has to be just right for you. It has to be something that doesn't cause you harm also. So I personalize what I tell people about exercise. Exercise is vital part of any stress management and brain improvement. It's part of what will help you feel better, decrease your stress, and improve your brain health. It improves overall health. It reduces the harmful stress chemicals just through sweating. If you do sweat, you really, really are excreting some of the things that are not good for you. I had a friend who was a really, really hard exerciser, and he had an expression. He said, sweat cleans where soap doesn't go. He said it was just something that he just felt so much better when he exercised pretty vigorously that he said, this is something that really, really helps me overall. Choose an activity. Well, everybody's a little bit different. Yeah, okay. So there's something called maximum heart rate, which is 220 minus your age. That's 100% as high as you should go. And you shouldn't go that high. Probably about 60% of that at age 80. So 220, what's your age? 83. So 220 minus, it's about 140. And so I would say 60% of that, 894, something like that. It's 84. Huh? Yeah, max, maybe between 85 and 100. Keep it right in that range. You should always be able to talk to somebody when you're exercising. You can have high intensity intervals a little bit, but you should always come back down to that area. That's the target zone for most people. You can go higher than that at times. If you're younger, you definitely can go higher based on that little formula. 220 minus your age. When you're a little older, and how experienced you are at exercise, you can go up to 70 to 80%. Make it fun, start small, get expert advice that's personalized. So that's important too. I can't tell you how many patients I get from bad exercise. People go in there, they haven't done anything, and all of a sudden they hurt themselves. I have a friend who's a GI doctor. I just did something with him. We went to a golf simulator range. I don't know if you've ever played golf, or where you hit it into a net basically, and it has a course on the screen. And he hadn't played for a while, and he was never a great player, but it was probably 6 months before he swung a golf club. And he got up to the first swing and wanted to hit the ball as far as he could. And he's 70 years old, a GI doctor, intelligent. He tore a muscle. He tore his labrum the first swing. So it's just a matter of also knowing what you should do. Anything new can hurt you. That's my expression. Anything new can hurt you. When you do something new, you have to approach it carefully. And if you really have some injured areas, you have to talk to somebody and tell them, and somebody has to tell you what you should or shouldn't do or how you should do it. You can modify things also to make sure that you don't injure yourself. And make sure it's accomplishing what you want to accomplish. If you want your endurance to be higher, if you want your strength to be higher, you really should combine exercises that do all of these things. Endurance, strength, and also balance as we get older is really important too. So beneficial effects of exercise decreases the incidence of Alzheimer's by 10 to 30%, even mild exercise. California State University study found that a 10-minute walk was enough to increase energy, alter your mood, affect a positive attitude for up to 2 hours. So should you be taking Valium all day long or every day, or should you go for a walk every day? What do you think? Just something like that makes a big difference in how you feel. Research indicates walking 30 minutes a day and reducing your body weight by 5 to 7% can cut the risk of prediabetes 60%. Decreasing the need for medication decreases the plaques that form in our brain with Alzheimer's, detoxes the body through sweat, increases body fat and inflammation, and helps maintain balance. That's what exercise does. There isn't one pill in the world that can do all those things. It doesn't exist, and it never will. Not one pill that will do it all. So you can do it all with just some exercise. And I really make sure that everybody that comes to me and wants to improve their health overall, or have a symptom that I know exercise is going to help, I teach them personally what they should or shouldn't be doing. Is there anybody here who wants to age faster or recover slower? Anybody? I'm going to tell you how to do it. Okay. No, nobody really wants to do that. So you're a smart group. But lots of people are doing that. They're aging faster and recovering slower. What do you think they're doing or not doing? What do you think the key to aging faster and recovering slower is? Well, not eating is a big one. Any other habits or things that we do every day? Smoking's a big one. Not drinking. Yeah, all of those things are really important. Number one is sleep. If you are not having restful sleep, and I'll talk to you about what that is, you are really, really aging faster and you recover slower. So adult bodies need 7 to 9 hours of sleep nightly. Repair processes occur during night. So there's this cleaning crew that comes in at night. And if you don't sleep enough and you don't sleep well, then that cleaning crew doesn't get a chance to do its job. Sleep deprivation leads to accelerated aging. Quality sleep needs to be rejuvenating. So if you don't wake up in the morning like you've had a good night's sleep, like you really feel like you can get ready for the day, if you're laying in bed for quite a while before you can move, if you have to have a cup of coffee before you can talk to somebody, all of those things are a sign that you just aren't getting the sleep that you should. And I test for that. So we talk about how people should have certain levels of certain things at certain times of the day. What happens when you sleep? When you're asleep, your body is in restore mode, cleaning up the waste that your cells make each day. Sleep allows your organs, brain, and tissues to repair, and it balances your hormones. If you don't get at least 7 hours of sleep, you're increasing your risk of death for your age by 24%. This is why sleep is the fourth pillar of longevity. You want to live longer, healthier. You don't want to just live longer. I mean, it's not just, I want to live to be 120. Well, you don't want to be in a wheelchair or a nursing home or not knowing who you are or your relatives. You want to live healthier longer. That's the ideal. Getting less than 7 hours of rejuvenating sleep is linked to issues with the body's cardiovascular system, the immune system, the nervous system, the hormonal system. Other side effects include an increased risk of dementia, stroke, diabetes, fatigue, lower energy, and early aging. So all of that is related to sleep. So if you are ignoring a sleep problem where it's not the way I've described it, it's not going to be fixed by more red wine or scotch or Tylenol PM or Ambien or Lunesta. Those are not the ways to fix this. That's what I want you to understand too, that there are natural approaches that help this be better. And those are the ways to do it, because all of those other ways have side effects and problems. Okay. Strategy number 4, the SAD diet. You know what the SAD diet is? The standard American diet. So what we eat here usually on average, and I'm not saying everybody does, but it's too high in calories, too high in fat, too high in sodium, too high in added sugars, and doesn't have enough fruits, vegetables, whole grain, calcium, and fiber. Such a diet contributes to the leading causes of death and increases the risk of numerous diseases in all of these. So again, do you want to treat each one of them with some sort of a medication, or would you like to fix all of them, make them better? I'm not saying they'll be perfect. Make them better, then change your diet. Change your diet, make it as good as possible. Optimize your diet. And so I teach people that also. I really want them to know what's good and what's bad. And if you just rely on TV commercials and what it says on the package, you don't know. You're being fooled by the marketing. Really, it goes on every day. And when you shop in the grocery store, if most of your stuff comes in a package, or you buy most of your stuff in the aisles of the grocery store and not around the perimeter, you're making a big mistake. And so you can't fix it by covering it up. You have to fix it by changing something, by doing it a little different, knowing what to do. Percentage of US population not meeting what's called the recommended daily allowance is 42% of Americans are vitamin D deficient. Food can be your best friend or your worst enemy. So the people up top are eating fruits and vegetables. The people on the bottom are eating pizza and beer. Who looks better? Yeah, it's pretty obvious. Okay. Dairy, sugar, and wheat consumption in our country. Cow's milk is made for baby cows, loaded with antibiotics and steroids. Wheat, we consume 146 pounds of wheat per person. Sugar, we consume 152 pounds of sugar per person. And these are not nutritious foods. So that's not what you should be making your diet composed of. The secret killer, it's called inflammation. This was an article written 30 years ago on the surprising link between inflammation, heart attack, cancer, Alzheimer's, and other diseases. What you can do to fight it. Okay? That's what I teach people, how to lead an anti-inflammatory lifestyle that helps all of those things, improves all of them. Avoiding inflammatory foods usually affects 4 areas, usually within a month. Staying away from the things, anti-inflammatory diet is giving people more of the good stuff, taking away the bad stuff. Instead of, it's not that complicated. Some people need specific advice, but overall, that's the basis for it. And it helps your digestion, it helps your mental clarity, it helps your pain, it helps your energy. Anybody want help with all those things? Who doesn't? I mean, really, it makes sense. Does it make sense to you? It makes sense to me. I've been teaching this for 40 years. It makes sense to me. I even tell you how I started is I really had the teacher who was the founder of functional medicine. So he inspired me. And I went up to him and I had migraine headaches from being in professional school and stressing myself out. I was drinking, 8 cups of coffee a night to stay up. I was eating SpaghettiOs and what else was my Kraft macaroni and cheese. And I started getting migraines. I never had migraines in my life. And he said, listen, what you're eating and how bad you're stressing your body is causing your migraines. Change those things, they'll go away. I went to several doctors before that, neurologists, chiropractors, acupuncturists. Nothing helped. What he told me helped. That's why I practiced the way I did. He's still around, and he's a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant teacher. Brain inflammation has been related to depression and anxiety through research, which is not my opinion. We can see differences in people's brains who are really, really inflamed. Are supplements necessary? Anybody here take supplements? I do. You have to know which ones. This is important. Which ones? Quality is very important. So if you're buying your supplements in a drugstore, what do you think? Do you think they're the best place to get them? If you're buying them at Costco, do you think they're the best place? Maybe the price is the best, but it's not necessarily the best. A lot of people take supplements and they don't feel an effect from it. I only recommend supplements that I've had experience treating people with and making a change. Quality is very important. The doctor with experience uses food as medicine. Test, don't guess. Sometimes we have to test to see if you need something. Supplements are not a substitute for quality food. So think about the word supplement. It's not substitute, okay? So you can't eat Twinkies all day and take a multivitamin and think you're okay. It doesn't work. So if you take the Twinkies away and you take a quality multivitamin and eliminate some of the other things that are not good for you, miraculous things can happen. You could feel so much better, more energy, better digestion, better brain function, less pain. All of those things. That's what I see every day. Okay. Test, don't guess. Some examples of specialized testing used to determine the root causes of health problems. One is called the ASI test. These are all the things this test tests for. And these are not tests that are routinely given to people. And you probably have all had blood tests that, and I'll tell you about that too. So digestive function, inflammation, hormone balance, infections, gluten sensitivity, how your blood sugar is handling the foods that you're eating, all of those things in one test. And it's a saliva test. It's where we measure what's in the saliva 5 times in a day, because what you do to your body during that day has an effect on all of these things. Something called CRP, reactive protein measures for inflammation. Usually also not done routinely, even though it should, because of that article I said. Inflammation is the link to cancer, diabetes, heart disease, all of those things. Why not test for it? Well, I'll tell you why. Cardio IQ is an advanced panel of tests for cholesterol, and the cholesterol, it tests for how cholesterol is broken down, the different particles, how some are more dangerous than others. So sometimes we test for food sensitivity. Why didn't my doctor tell me about these tests? Why? Well, he's a good guy. He wants me to be healthy. Well, it's not part of their training. Their training is to prescribe medication. These tests don't show problems that require medication. These tests show things that we can prevent needing medication. That's what they're for. Different. It's not the same. Okay. Why is the gut important? Many of our what happens down here, I told you, communicates with your brain. 90% of something called serotonin is produced in your gut. The gut and the brain really develop from the same embryological tissue. And so what happens down here really affects your brain tremendously. The gut contains 2/3 of our body's immune system, what fights cancer and all the other things that we have to fight every day, bugs in the environment. The gut contains 10 times more cells than any place in your body combined. And 70% of people have digestive problems, which affect your health. So if you don't fix that, you're going to walk around with these problems forever. And they tend to get worse. So this is a little expression I have. The gut is not Las Vegas. What happens in your gut doesn't stay in your gut. It goes everywhere. Think about it. It goes everywhere. Your gut affects your entire body, including your brain and your immune system. Sometimes we give people a cleansing diet, staying away from the bad stuff and increasing the good stuff. And it can increase your energy, decrease your pain, improve your overall health, jumpstart weight loss, decrease food craving. Anybody feel like they're addicted to certain foods? Be honest. Foods are addictive. You know why? Because the food industry wants you to be addicted to certain things, especially sugar. That's right. And so if you stay away from them for a while, all of a sudden you're not addicted. And it's just not as it's not as big a craving anymore. People say, oh, I really have to have it. You don't. I mean, you have to decide whether it's important to you to be healthier. Pain reducing. So we do a lot of things for pain reduction. That's why my office is called Advanced Wellness and Injury Center. See a lot of people for pain problems. I gave you a little handout. That's one of the things that I do that is miraculous for pain. It's called Graston technique. I was specially trained in that. And if you know anything about sports and you see somebody on the sideline being treated with a little metal tool or different kinds of metal tools, they're using that technique to get people back in the game quickly. It works very, very fast, has no side effects, and really helps people if they've been to a massage therapist and they've taken medication and they still haven't gotten all better. It's because of scar tissue that has formed from their old injuries. Okay. So are you frustrated taking a pill for every ill? How many people are frustrated? Just maybe not. Okay. So most people are in this country nowadays. For those over 65 are taking an average of 4 to 10 medications depending upon their age. I had a pharmacist in my group in one of my talks, and she came up to me at the end. She said, boy, like you said, I'm being kind to the pharmaceutical industry. Here's where I get a little bit more vocal about it. So she said to me, Doc, I really agreed with what you said about medications. I've been a pharmacist for 25 years. And she said, guess how many medications I take? She held up her hand like this. I never forget it. So she said, I take none because I want to really, really try and be as healthy as possible without medication. And I know more about medication than the doctors who are prescribing it. I know more about it. And I know that it has more side effects than benefits. That's what she told me. Okay. So as we age, though we take more medications, our diseases have been more prevalent. Our lifespan has decreased. In many cases, our quality of life has unimproved. So we want to increase our lifespan and our health span. One bullet doesn't fix memory problems. That's what I want you to take away today, too. It takes a combination of things. Some people need all of these things. Some people need one or two of them more than others. Some people really, really don't need what I have to offer. But I'd say most people can benefit from what I have to offer. Medications that cause negative side effects on your brain, antacid, female hormone replacement, statins, antibiotics, oral contraceptives, medications for anxiety and depression. If you're taking any of those, it affects your brain health. And the way to help your brain health is to start with eliminating or doing the strategies that I talked about. Then, if you have to, then medication. And if you have to and it still isn't working, then maybe surgery. But don't start with surgery. That's the last resort. Okay, political lobby spending. What do you think gets the biggest spending in Congress or contributions in Congress? What industry? The pharmaceutical industry, number one by far. So they really lobby Congress to get the things that they want passed. And one of them was the commercials on TV. That was a big thing. I call this guy the pillhead. The pharmaceutical industry does not create cures, they create customers. So their goal, and I have treated many, many patients from the pharmaceutical industry, they work in the pharmacy, and they said that they want us to research and perfect medications that you will stay on for life. Not that will cure your problem, that will manage your problem. So think about that. You're taking something that's just managing your problem, maybe there's another way to get off of it and not cause a side effect, which I mentioned medications cause. So brain improvement exercises. So there's some things that you can do to improve your brain health. Things that really, really challenge your brain, puzzles and crossword puzzles and games. And there's one thing that I really recommend to a lot of people. It's a morning routine upon waking up. And anybody who comes into my office, I teach them about this. What you can do when you first start in the morning to get your brain functioning, your body functioning in a short period of time, you'll notice a difference that you wake up and really, really are able to get out of bed easier, have less soreness and pain, think more clearly, and improve your memory also, all in a 5-minute routine. So it combines a lot of these things. Use the secrets of permanent weight loss. Carrying extra weight around is always unhealthy. And it's not just weight, it's fat. So I measure body fat when somebody comes in. We don't just weigh you. And so getting rid of the fat is really important. Converting some of that fat, well, not converting it, but substituting muscle for that fat and decreasing your weight overall is really the ideal. I'm not going to read this to you, but there's benefits of losing weight, decrease inflammation, lose weight, and feel great. Okay, so this is something that I show patients. Doctors spend their time looking in the leaves of the tree, most doctors, traditional doctors. And those include fatigue, depression, anxiety, hormone problems, chronic pain, weight problems. Most doctors spend their time up here. And what you want is they should be focusing down here. What's causing it? That's really, really the key. That's what I do. I look for the causes, not just covering up the symptoms. And we help with detox. We help by doing nutritional counseling. We help by stress management. We help with exercise. We help with pain reduction and sleep optimization. And like I said, some people need one of these, two of these, three of these. Some people need them all. But every one of them can help you. Education alone is powerful, but not as powerful as action. So, you sat here, you listened to me. If everything I said goes in your right ear, comes out your left ear without stopping in the middle, then you're really not gaining very much. But if you start to apply and need some guidance to apply what I'm telling you, it can really change your life. It can really make a big difference for the rest of your life. So what we do is we figure out the cause, give people a plan, educate and empower, guide you through your journey, make you accountable. I'm very stubborn and I really want you to succeed and feel better. Encourage you, celebrate when you do succeed. So there's hope. Memory can feel better. Memory can improve. You can feel better. You can become healthier. And even Michael Jordan needed a coach before he won 6 championships. Everybody know who Michael Jordan is? Yeah, he's maybe the greatest basketball player ever, but he didn't win any championships until Phil Jackson was his coach. So you need a coach. This is not simple. You have to have the right information. You can go home and guess about it. You can kind of say, oh yeah, I'll make my diet better. But I think you need a coach, a good coach, really an expert. I think we're gonna just tell you that if you'd like, it's up to you. For those of you on Zoom that are still there, I offer everybody a free phone consultation. You want to talk about this some more, I'll call you and we'll talk. And you don't have any obligation. I want to see if you're a good fit for what I do. I'll ask you some questions, what you're concerned about, what you've tried already, what the success has been or not, what your goals are. And in a short period of time, I'll know whether I think I can help you or not. And then I would say it's up to you. If you want to come into my office, we have an opportunity to do that. And I have a 1-hour consultation with somebody that if I think I can help them. And we go through detail as far as what the plan would be to help you. And then you decide if you'd like to do that or not. So at first, there's absolutely no obligation. The phone call is the first step, and it doesn't hurt. I'm nice on the phone, and you have nothing to lose. And we'll set up a time. So if you want that, I just ask you to just check off if you like that. Some people want to go right to the consultation. And so I'd say, all you have to do is put your name and your phone number. I will give you a call and we'll set up a time where I can talk to you on the phone, and ask you some questions, and then you decide if you want to do something else about it. If you know somebody else, and I always make this available too, if you know somebody else, a friend, a relative, a loved one, a coworker, who you think might benefit from what I'm talking about. They're suffering with something, they're not finding solutions to it, they need something different, they don't know what to do, then I would say, I'm going to give you each one of these to give to somebody else. You can go. You're out of here. Okay. So this is a little discovery pass. Give you each one, and you can give it to a friend or a relative. But thanks for coming, and I look forward to talking to you.